Imagine uncovering the secrets that others missed. A hidden clue, a silent witness, a twist that changes everything. I'm Carter Roy, host of Murder True Crime Stories, a Crime House original podcast. Join me every Tuesday as we dive into a famous solved or unsolved murder case. Follow and listen to Murder True Crime Stories, an Odyssey podcast in partnership with Crime House Studios. Available now on the free Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcasts.
Here is Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com, as we talk some K-State sports. And, boy, it's been a little dour with Fitz here, at least with men's basketball. We'll get to the women's team here in a moment. But I thought they had that one last night down in Waco against Baylor. They led all the way. They're winning. Everything's looking pretty good, and couldn't seal the deal, Fitz.
No, they're not good enough. I mean, they're getting there. They're beginning to understand who they are and what they need to be, but will that add up to enough to win games? Well, I mean, they all but had that one won. They were up by 12 in the second half and end up losing by 8 after just getting buried in the final 10 minutes of the game and hardly scoring in the final 5. And this has been a symptom that's been reoccurring for this team, fading at the wire, and it's not been like other Jerome Tang teams, so it seems to be this group, but they're getting there. They have some opportunities here at home coming up, and then they start running that gauntlet in this conference that everyone hits once in a while, and it's, KU, Arizona, and others just all lined up waiting for them.
So when you say that they're figuring out who they are and where they want to be or what they want to be, does that mean they haven't quite figured those out yet, or does that mean they have figured it out and they just haven't yet, achieved it?
Yeah, I think it's that they know what they need to do now. They're not to the point where they can perpetuate it for big enough segments of the game, whether it's the start at Kansas that was so disastrous or the finish at Baylor that was so disastrous. In this conference, 30 minutes of excellent basketball means you lose. And if you play really well and you don't finish and you don't play a more complete game, you're going to lose. And they just aren't good enough, put together enough at this point to get it done.
Tim Fitzgerald with us from GoPowerCat.com. Frequent guest on the show. You know that if you listen to the Bob and Jeff show. We had a debate earlier about philanthropy and why people support their alma mater, and Jeff just couldn't understand it.
This isn't a fair representation of that at all.
Well, it's sort of fair. And so I'm thinking to myself now, here we are in the year 2025, and everything's changed about college athletics. You see these teams. You mentioned that these guys are figuring it out, but probably once they figure it out, who knows how many of them will hit the transfer portal after the year, and we may see mostly a new roster next year, and when will they figure it out? How does that fit with philanthropy and supporting your athletic department financially? Because if I'm a fan, I'm not sure that I feel the same way. I'm not sure that I want to open up the checkbook the way maybe I did last year or the year before. I don't know what I'm really trying to say, Fitz, but I don't know. This is turning me off. What do you think?
Yeah, I think a lot of fans are that way. But I also think we need to understand the different subsets of fans. There's those who, donate regularly and aren't, the big guns, but, they buy seat licenses. They up their Ahern donations in the case of Kansas State's fund to have better seats. They might sit at courtside seats in Bramlage Coliseum, but they're not the influencers. They've just got enough money or access to, maybe corporate money to make it fun for them. And I can see those people saying, I enjoy K-State basketball, and I think it's basketball right now that what's happened in basketball has been more dramatic than football because you can buy an entire roster in a year, and it's disgusting, and it's not working. And I think people are losing their connection to the players and, in turn, the university, that the players have always been their conduit. And when they're here for a year and gone and here for a year and gone, that conduit isn't very sturdy. Now, the other side of that is the really wealthy who have names on stuff and can, or maybe they don't want that, but they can use their money for influence. I think they feel like I can be part of my alma mater winning something significant. I can buy the players that will get us there. That might work in football. I think Ohio State just proved it can work in football. But you can't do it in basketball and lose your locker room and kind of never have a culture carrying over from year to year. It's just too hard to craft that year in and year out. Sometimes these parts you bring in from the portal won't fit together. They fit together in his first year, not so much in their second year. And the third year in which we thought they were really talented, it ain't working. Not at least at the level anyone expected. So I see it. And then the third group, of course, is the people more like us. We can't afford the tickets hardly. And, a lot of people, a vast majority of fans are watching from home, or they do save up to go to games and be in the parking lot, but they're in no way influencing anyone with their money. And I think this erodes their passion in some ways to see teams get purchased, for the talent, and now those student athletes are making a lot more than they do to play the game, and they're not even as invested as the fan who doesn't make that kind of money. So there's just a lot of moving parts here that are not working in cohesion in any way.
In your experience with these athletes who are making decent sums of money, is there such a thing as NIL, or are we just handing money to play? Do you know of any players who have actually, hey, I'm going to perform a task or do a job, or is it just I'm playing and that's it?
Yeah, a lot of that's going on, and that was never the spirit of what the courts ruled. You can profit from your name, image, and likeness, but they didn't endorse professional athletics, and I think the NCAA's actions in not having action, their inaction, has caused all this by not enforcing any kind of guidelines here. We've just got into buying players, and I'm a big fan of the NIL. I like the fact that someone like Avery Johnson, who has influence over fans that people like, can go to a car dealership and get a vehicle and do commercials for them and do other stuff for them. That's what NIL is supposed to be. And a lot of student athletes have that. But I think we know now that a majority of them are just getting paid to play a sport. And I think we're about to find out the differences between being committed to your alma mater and cheering for the teams and being a fan of a professional franchise, because that's where college athletics seems to be heading, and hopefully someone will steer it off that course.
Let's hope so. Tim Fitzgerald is our guest from GoPowerCat.com. We're talking all things K-State sports. And let's get to something that's very positive, been a lot of fun. The program that Jeff Mittie has built on the women's basketball side. They are 19-1. They play at Colorado coming up Saturday. Now, they've had a key injury, but welcome to the repetition here. Ioka Lee is currently sidelined, having another very good year. But it looks to me, Fitz, last year they kind of collapsed a little bit when she got injured. It looks to me on the outside looking in that this team has better depth. Are they more able to withstand this injury?
Yeah, they are. They really do have better depth. Got more tools, more players that can take over a game in her absence. And she's played significantly less this season in terms of minutes. Her workload was down as they tried to preserve her, and that didn't quite work out because she did suffer another, I believe, foot injury. They think she'll be back this season, which is good. She came back last year, and the team was never quite the same as they were before her injury. But the difference this year isn't just the talent. It's the fact that they've played – she's been, around 20 minutes a game, so they played almost half of every game without her. and have been really good. So they know how to play without her and at a level that they didn't last year. And they've just got more answers, people that can do more things. And they use the portal to go get a score, go get some depth behind Aoka. And I think it's going to really pay off for this team. I don't see them dropping off a lot. But, boy, it's a lot easier to win games when you got a dominant post player that has incredible fundamentals and can score at ease and pass and rebound. That's true of men's basketball, women's basketball, and probably your local youth league. If you got someone dominant in the middle, you're going to win games.
What's the attendance like between the men and the men's and women's team? How do they compare?
Well, it's been fairly comparable until recently, but it's also hard to tell right now because the students are just now arriving back. They'll be back for that Saturday game. And the women tend to draw more from the community. Students will go there, but, really the men's games are alumni from, drivable distance and a lot of students. And in these games, a lot of families bring their kids. A lot of older citizens, seasoned citizens, go to these games. It costs less, and I don't want to say family-friendly. That's not exactly what I mean, but there's something about the way these women play basketball that is refreshing to us olds. They use something in their games called fundamentals. I don't know if some of these male players have heard of it, but it's how we learn to dribble, pass, and share the ball, and those things that work as a team. And you don't just worry about your points and how much N.I.L. you're getting. So women's basketball, and particularly high-level women's basketball like this, is really enjoyable to watch.
All right, Tim Fitzgerald, we appreciate it very much. We'll catch up with you soon. Thank you for being on.
Okay, boys. Thanks. Good to hear from you.